Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today it's an oddball one. Every now and then I like to do these fishing reel repair programs around why reels fail. And that's what I think I've got going here. I have a reel that's stuck. If it's in free spool, nothing turns. The handle turns, but nothing else turns. And if you lock it down, it locks everything up. So a customer of mine brought this one in. He said he paid $5 for it. He said it's broken, and it was on a junk pile at a local yard sale. And he asked me if I can do anything with it, and I'm kind of skeptical. I don't know, but we're going to find out. So this is the Okuma Titus 30. It's a lever drag fishing reel, and for whatever reason we have swing. It seems like it should be releasing the spool, but the spool is stuck. So we're going to take this apart. If nothing else, we'll learn why this reel failed, and with any luck, be able to get it out there fishing again. So while I take a reel apart, I like to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during this pandemic. Your efforts truly are appreciated. You are our local hometown heroes, and we thank you for all that you do, whether you're uniformed services, police, fire, rescue, EMT, you're in the medical fields, in hospitals, long-term care, and acute facilities, or you're the essential personnel, transportation workers, teachers, food delivery, and the like. Thank you. You make our lives easy in a time that's not so easy. All right, we started by taking off the 10mm screw that holds the handle on. Those pieces go into a parts tray. It's the bottom of the plastic jug. That's my way of organizing. You may have a different way, and that's fine. But to me, if I put them in a parts tray, I know where to find them when it's time to take them off. Speaking of taking them off, here we go. Handle comes off, and there's a little shield that should come off with that. And then sometimes there's a washer under there, sometimes not. It looks like not. And we're going to try and remove the exterior pieces so we can remove the side plate. Something is frozen in here, and it's ours to find out what it is. So we have a preset adjuster knob, we have the spring, we have the preset adjuster piece. I'm going to put them all in the cap just the way they came off. So I have the cap, the spring, and the preset adjuster behind that. And this is a good time to tell you, if you're working on a reel, go ahead and take pictures along the way. That way, if you get stuck, one of the things you can do is go back and look at your pictures. So use your cell phone, a digital camera, take a movie if you like. But it's a good way to see the sequence you took them off, the orientation of the pieces and parts, and it's very helpful if you kind of get stuck along the way. Well, I'm going to remove the swing arm adjuster. There are two pieces behind here. There's a Teflon washer and there's a metal washer. And again, I'm going to leave those kind of in a stack the way they came off. Next up, then we're going to try and get the trim ring for the adjuster off. This has 3 screws on it. 2 of the screws have a collar. That's the front and back max and minimum on the drag release. And one in the middle is a flathead screw. And again, I like to keep these in a separate corner of the tray. That way, when I go to reinstall, they're kind of together and I don't have to search for them. There's a lot of pieces and parts that come off in fishing reels. And if you kind of organize your tray, it'll keep you a little bit from searching for them. Just curious if the reel is going to spin now without the handle assembly, and it does not spin. But, ooh, we got some movement. A little bit of movement there, so that's good. That's encouraging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. I'm going to take those out. They're all Phillips heads. While I'm doing this, I'd like to mention to you that if you like this kind of a video, where you look at the art of reel repair, or you look at the design and engineering of fishing reels, how they come together, how they come apart, how they work, well, then I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I work on all kinds of fishing reels. Today we happen to be working on a saltwater lever drag trolling reel, but that's not always the case. Plenty of freshwater reels, bait casting, spinning, conventional reels and so on. And those efforts are generally recorded. When you watch one of my videos, it's basically looking over my shoulder in my shop, seeing my thought process, how I take them apart, and diagnose problems and put them back together again. 5 screws, they're all the same, so when I go to reinstall that side plate case, doesn't matter where I put them, they're working. Alright, this should come off now. I'm just going to check underneath. You should be able to lift this case off now. With a little bit of help. Seems like it's probably been a while since this case has come off. Alright, so we have the case. Now let's see if the spool spins. Oh, we got a turning spool. That's a good thing. But I'm looking here and I'm seeing a lot of tarnished and corroded pieces. Curious whether this is going to turn. This turns fine. So the main gears turn fine. We'll go in and service that. And I think what we may have... well, this is a curiosity now because everything is turning. So I don't know if we just have a lot of accumulated grease and junk here, or if it's getting stuck on the pinion gear here. Or if we've got stuck bearings inside or whatever. But let's continue on this. Now, generally speaking, I do not like to work on a reel with line on it. So I'm going to pause the video right here and I'm going to take that line off. Again, this fellow just paid $5 for it. What I would tell him is if you're going to try and fish this thing, if we ever resurrect this reel, then by all means, please put a new line on it or we'll force that issue. So let me take that off. Turn the video off. We'll be right back. Okay, well that didn't take very long. We got the spool off, got the line off the spool. I did notice there's some kind of a rusting or something going on here, so I'm just going to see if I can't get that right away. I'm wondering if something rusted in place. That's kind of odd. Not sure what that is. Looks like it's been brazed. Alright, so we're going to see what's happening here. The spool shaft is spinning fine. We'll go in there, we'll oil the bearings, we'll show you how it's made and the like, but this doesn't seem to be the problem with the obstruction. Alright, on a reel like this, you can generally grab the corners, and it's usually just hand tightened only. You have to figure out whether it's screwed counterclockwise or clockwise. We're going to try clockwise. Nope. Alright, so there you go. So this one was fine. We're going to turn that off. This has a serrated edge on it. If you really needed to do something, you could probably find a pliers like that. Well, that one's too small. But find the pliers like that to grab this serrated edge. But generally, hand strength will enable you to take it off. And now we're going to notice the sequence. The retainer came off. This is our pressure plate. There should be a bearing underneath it. There's a bearing inside here. I'm going to put that bearing on the shaft. Well, that's quieter than all get out. That bearing's fine. There's a spring underneath that. I'm going to oil that bearing while I have it, that assembly out. There's a secondary bearing underneath here, and this is our drag washer. So I'm going to put the spring into my parts tray so I don't lose that. I'm going to put my pressure plate into the parts tray as well as the retaining ring. This should just be able to come out. This looks like a two-sided drag washer as opposed to a single-sided. Let's see if we can lift up on that. Yep, lift it up on it. All right, relatively clean underneath. I'm starting to get some hope for this reel. I don't know what was binding it, but I'm starting to get some hope. That's always dangerous. But for $5 for the customer of mine, boy, it may just turn out to be the right thing for him. I just want to clean the face of the spool now. I'm just using a kitchen scrubby and just trying to get some of the residual from that drag washer off. Now that drag washer is a fabric washer. So I am going to go ahead and put some drag grease on there. I use Cal's Universal Dry Grease. I like to just kind of dip it in, spread it around, There's way too much on there, so you're going to mop that off. Use the paper towel. You just want to get the grease so that it's embedded in that washer. And that washer can go right back on. There we go. All right, let's take the axle shaft off to inspect the back side of this then. 2 small screws, 2 studs. Just want to remove those. Be careful with these now. These are very small screws, and if you're not paying attention, they can bounce all over the place. So the 2 right there, I'm going to leave them right there. I'm going to cover them with the cap. All right, we should be able to pull this bearing assembly through now. We should be able to get the bearing on the other side out on that. All right. So again, I'm going to just kind of do the spin test on this, make sure that they're quiet. That one's quiet. So is that one. Just going to get in here and put some oil in them. Same thing we just did. Now there's some tension washers on the back end of this that hold this in place and give you some flexibility in the tension on that lever drag itself. All right, we're going to put this right back in. Take our piece and we're going to pop that up. I said before that it had 2 studs. It just appears to be some dried grease on the surface there. There aren't any studs that this rides over. So if you have questions on this reel or this type of reel, or any questions related to a reel repair, or even purchase of a reel or the like, I'm not real expert in all of them, but if you have a question, I'll try and guide you through it. Maybe you're stuck on a reassembly, or maybe you're stuck taking something off, and if I have the experience to give you that answer, I'll be happy to do that. And if I can, I'll try and direct you on it. All right, we have that secondary bearing here. We're going to go put some oil on that as well. This time around, I'm using Lucas fishing reel oil. A lot of times I'll get questions as to what lubricant I'm using. That's the one I'm using for this. Thanks to the viewer who sent that in. We're going to put the spring on next. And make sure your pressure plate is clean. There's nothing here that would say that that was causing this reel to seize. So we'll come on and put that back in. And we have that little cap that holds it all in place and puts the tension on that spring. Just be careful when you go to thread this back in. You're going to do it by hand. And when you go to thread it back in, you want to make sure that you're square. You don't want to cross thread this. And again, it's hand tightened. That's it right there. So no real worry there. Well, the axle shaft is definitely spinning easier than it was a little while ago. So the mystery kind of continues so far, but sometimes it's just a matter that you clean the piece up and do what you can on it, and then the mystery resolves itself. All right, we put that stud through the axle shaft. We're going to look for the cross in the case, and we're going to insert that so that they match in and it gets seated. Just like that. Now your axle shaft can't turn, but your spool can, and if you move your spool now, it should be turning, and it's turning nicely. So a whole lot better than it was. And let's go over to the gear side then, find out what's going on here. Now when we turn to gears, again, this was working. I do see a lot of dried grease here now, and it could be that kind of held the pinion gear in place. We're going to remove the main gear. We're going to do that by removing the screw that's holding it to the main shaft. And sometimes with that, you need to grab the handle on the other side to hold it. Sometimes you actually have to go put the screw back in. So if you don't have the hand strength, boy, this is hard to break. If you don't have the hand strength, this is the one time I will tell you that if you have an impact driver and you can't break the screw, as a last resort, try that impact driver. That impact driver generally will put enough tension and force on it. As it turns out, we could have pushed this through. We didn't need to take that screw off. It's just getting very sticky there. All right, so you want to clean the side plate here. Clean the bearing up. Start with a paper towel. And I want to test that bearing just like I was testing the other one. And this is spinning freely, so I'm still a little bit of a mystery here. I don't see any broken pieces or parts that would suggest that that was the problem. This was tough to get out, so we'll clean that up. As I mentioned, it turns out we didn't need to take this off, so those of you that are playing along at home with your Okuma Titus, note to self, you don't need to take this off. Sometimes these are fun. Sometimes the learning is worth the price paid. Certainly, he told me he paid $5 for it. I can believe that. And if it's not working, it's an older technology and can't find anybody to work on your reel, well, I guess that's worth $5. But if we couldn't fix this, let's just say there was a broken piece or part inside. Sometimes I call these tuition reels. Sometimes it's just worth it to go in and buy the reel and just take a chance on it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But what you can learn from it is well worth the money paid. And sometimes you'll see an interesting technology in there. Sometimes you'll just learn the weakness of a reel. After working on so many modern day pen jig masters, for example, I can probably tell you every one that's going to fail first, second, and third, and whether they're worth repairing or not, just because I've learned over time just from doing it as opposed to relying on other people to tell me what the issue is. But again, just don't be afraid to go take a chance. Now, this fella said he bought a lot of other tackle with this. That's what got him to the thing, and when he saw it was only $5, he said, well, maybe I can get this repaired and put it back out, maybe I can't. Alright, I'm inspecting the teeth on this, because that may be the issue right there, but these seem to be okay. So we're going to just kind of reverse the process now. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get I know which side gets seated where. I believe that's the side that goes in here. So we're going to put some grease on this. I'm using Pen Precision Real Grease as my real grease. And I'm just going to load this up because this hasn't had grease in a long time. We can see that it's all dried inside. Alright, then that just kind of is going to run in here. And it's going to get seated. I'm going to use that same real grease on the bottom, on the main gear here. We want to get that shaft because that was tough coming out of the bushing in there. So we want to load that up. And we haven't seen grease on this for a while, so let's load this up. This exterior piece here is very much like a Shimano, a Triton, in the way that it has the anti-reverse set here. This is an anti-reverse dog. You have the dog, you have the spring that's going to return it, and when you go to put your main gear in, you're just going to come in from the side here and pull this back so that you can get the clearance to reseat that. So it kind of goes like this. Try and get it started. Push the main gear shaft through and then pull it one more time to seat it. Oh, that's moving a whole lot easier than it was. And we're going to tighten this down because I had that loosened pretty well. Alright, so we've got a main gear that's certainly spinning a whole lot easier. We've got the anti-reverse working. I think it's time to put this back together again, see what happens if we can get a spool to spin now. You'll notice that I put the pinion gear into the pressure plate. Some people like to put it into the bearing and try to merge them. To me, it's always been easier to do it that way. It just seems to line up easier. Then look for your side case studs. And before I go any further, I want to make sure that, oh, look at this. Look at that spool spin, huh? So whatever it was that was causing that issue, at least for now, we know we didn't have a spinning spool, or we had a very poorly spinning spool before. It's spinning now. So this one may actually get a second chance. I'm going to take my screws and put them in. Remember, we noted before that they're all the same size screw, so it doesn't matter which ones you put them in. I like to space them. I don't like to go in a circle. I like to kind of go east, west, north, south to keep the equal tension on the case. Come over here, put one here now. And then we can just fill in the other two blanks. That's easy enough. Let's go below and then we'll come above. I'll get rid of this paper towel. So lever drags been around quite some time, but they've really gained popularity with braid. Okay, just removed my glove. We're finishing up on that last one. Now we're ready to install the external pieces now. So you want to start kind of in the opposite of the way you took them out. There was a metal shim washer that went over that lever arm, and there was a Teflon piece. And we had the trim ring, and it's kind of hard to mess this one up in terms of you can't put it on backwards. But some of you, if you have the reel, will see that there is some printing on there. So you want to take advantage of that. Take your trim ring, slide it so that you don't bend the little click mechanism here. Slide it over and down, and then align it with the adjuster buttons. And we can go grab the two screws that come out of that. One on each side that have the bump guard. Then we have a flathead screw that goes in the middle here. So grab that. And we'll just kind of finish this up. So before I go any further, I like to just move my click arm all the way over to the off position for that. It just, to me, it's just helpful to do it that way. Next up, you're going to notice that there's two grooves in the back end of this preset adjuster, two valleys. They correspond with the peaks on the other side. And that is where you should be lining up when you go to reinstall this. You should have that seat just like that. So the peaks on the arm are inserted into cavities on the other, and you're square on that shaft. If you try to put it in any other way, well, there's a good chance that it's not going to seat properly and you're not going to have free spool. We'll grab that. We'll grab our free spool tensioner. We're going to put that on. We'll go adjust that in a little bit. I'm going to load up the handle here. Grab the 10mm screw. Pull that down. We'll make sure that everything's working here. Give it a turn. Well, we've got a turning reel again. Well, at least we have a turning handle. Just a little bit more to go to tighten that handle up, so let's go do that right now. And we'll play around with that clip in a moment. Let's see what happens now when we go into the lockdown mode. Oh, we got to do an adjustment here. I like to adjust the lever drag when it's in free spool. Now we've got it rolling. Now it's just a matter of getting it right. Another little preset here. Tighten a little bit more. We're in free spool. Let's go to the first start. We need to adjust more. Max drag. Really. All right, you keep doing it. It's a repetitive process until you get it the way you want to set it. I always check to make sure I'm back in free spool. And then as soon as I go into my max drag now, let's feel the tension on it. That's good tension there. Right. Well, we know that works too, don't we? That's it. We got it. How do you like that? We brought it back from the dustbin. $5 reel just became a $50 reel or more, whatever the value of these things are these days. But very nice. So we found out the bearings are good. The drag washer is fine. The assembly was all good. We didn't notice any damage inside, and I can only speculate what I've learned in terms of what caused this to not work. Now, we did see a lot of dried grease in there. Quite possibly that was the cause of it. Maybe it stuck the pinion gear to the back bearing or something. I'm not sure. Sometimes they remain a mystery. But in this case, there's no mystery about this one. It's going to go back fishing again. It's got its second chance. So if you have a reel like this that you would like repaired and you're not up for doing it yourself, well, I do that by mail. And if you contact me on the business card that follows, I'll be happy to provide you with the repair information. So other than that, I think we're ready to go fishing. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching, and have a great day.